Hello, welcome to the channel. This is my W plate 2000 Suzuki Jimny and we nicknamed it Big Jim. I've had this car 8 years and it has been brilliant. The 8 years I've owned this car has been brilliant. I've had one breakdown with it and it was a head gasket that failed. I've done the head gasket about 4 years ago. And when the clutch went on the Land Rover, I was back using the Suzuki every day. So I noticed it starting to use water, and on tick over it was very lumpy. So check the compression, and cylinder number 3 is low on compression. A popular upgrade for these cars is to fit the 1.6 out of the Vitara. The main thing is dropping on one. Now, literally just dropped on an engine. So this is a 1600 that was already fitted to a Jimny, an off-roader, and is breaking it to bits. So I've got the engine. So the only difference between the Vitara engine and the Suzuki, apart from it being a 1.6, is different sump. So you fit the Jimny sump, the Jimny pickup pipe, and apart from that, really, it goes straight in. Mine is the single cam 16 valve, and obviously with me already spending money on the head gasket, I thought, right, this engine has had it. I do believe, as it's only lost compression on cylinder 3, I think it's cracked a bore, or has got an airline crack in the bore, and therefore it's starting to mix oil with water, but also exhaust fumes boiling over and overheating. So what I've decided, I'll do the conversion, take the 1.3 out, fit the 1600, and then get some, it needs some welding, so I'll get some welding done on it, and put it through the MOT, and I'll be back driving it again. This can be my everyday car. It frees up some room on the drive. I can sell the car I had to buy because this broke down. And yeah, so that's the conversion. The first thing I need to do is jet wash the muck off this because it's absolutely plastered in muck. Michael, if you're watching, thank you so much for doing me a great deal. I also bought some other parts off him, uprated transfer box mounts, freewheeling hubs, and the diff guard for the front axle. I'm going to use my gearbox that's already in because I know it's a good gearbox. Oh, and that's another thing. I always, but when I'm fitting engines to cars, if I'm not buying off a big breaker's yard, I always like to see the engines running. Now, unfortunately, I've not actually seen this one running. He says to me, he's very kindly given me a month's warranty with it, and that's why I'm doing it now. He assures everything's alright, there's no problems with the engine. So I'll fit this now, get it out of the way, get this done, frees up loads of space on the yard. I've got my Suzuki back, I've got a bigger engine, all seems good. So after the engine's done and I'm driving this every day, I will be doing a full in-depth review on Big Jim. So that's inside the bottom of the expansion bottle, so the oil's obviously mixing with the water and exhaust gases are getting in as well, and this is why I believe it's a cracked bore on number 3. The first thing I've done is drain the coolant then. Once you drain the coolant, take the viscous fan off, take the radiator out, unplug the wiring loom, unplug the fuel pipes and the breather system, get the wiring loom out of the way, accelerator cable, and then that's it from the top then. Oh, the exhaust manifold as well, just pull that to one side. Power steering pump off, and then go underneath. So I'll get all the top bit done first. the lambda sensor wire and the cable that goes to the gearbox, you can leave them on. They are a pain to get off. And the last thing to do now is take the fuel pipes off, take the bell housing bolts out, prop the gearbox up with an axle stand, release the engine mounts and actually lift it out. I'll just go underneath now and disconnect the clutch cable and take out the bell housing bolts underneath, and then all I've got to do then is take the ones out from the top, put a strap around the engine and lift it out. Forgot to say as well that you've got to take the starter motor off because that clamps the engine and gearbox together as well. In fact, that's probably the hardest thing about this job, is getting the starter motor off. It's just a little bit awkward. So I've took the bell housing bolts out now and tear up the manifold up out of the way, and it's just ready to come out now. I've also put an axle stand underneath the gearbox, so when I take the engine out the gearbox won't fall forward. So as I've lifted the engine up, I've chopped the gearbox so it's slightly higher, so I can let the engine down slightly so it'll be level with the gearbox, and then it should come out easier. I've got the 1.6 ready to be fitted in. Something I didn't know, there is slight differences in the block. So the shield, you have to cut the centre off for it to go in here behind the flywheel. I've put my flywheel and clutch on. It's a better quality clutch and I think it's only done 10,000 miles. So on the spigot bearing on the original flywheel for this engine was seized up. So I've changed all that. Put my new spigot bearing, so that's alright. I've had to drill the holes out because the 1600 has bigger bolts, so I've drilled them out to 12mm. And funny enough, I've had to drill some more holes for the gearbox as well. So originally this engine was up, the gearbox was only being held on with 2 bolts, so I didn't like that. I'll just get it fitted in now and just see how far we get tonight, really. all the engine mounts are tight, bell housing bolts are tight, so it's in. So all I've got to do now is install everything, reverse taking it off. That's the engine in and all connected up. The only thing I've done is I took the coil packs off and the spark plugs out just to turn the engine over. When I took that plug out, it was the top of the plug was full of oil, so when I took the plug out, obviously there's some oil gone into the cylinder. So I've turned the engine over, the fuel's bled itself up now, so it's ready for the first start. So there probably will be a bit of smoke because of that oil that went in the cylinder. So here we go. Hey! Got a bit of smoke come out, which I knew about. Oh, that sounds really quiet. A slight misfire, it's probably the oil. A bit of a wear from the timing belt. I'm going to replace it anyway, but yeah, runs nice, running nice now. So I'll turn it off, get the radiator fitted, and then I'll run it up to temperature. So it's the next morning, I've given it a cold start, checked for any smoke, any noises, and everything's alright. It runs perfect, so I've given the engine a service. Other than changing the wheels round and a wash, there's one more important thing to do. So that's the testing! Sorry, Mum! Don't forget to check out the rest of the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.